Hey my babies, this is Taste Tutor and I'm going to show you how to make shrimp and grits. We're going to start in a medium-high heat pan by adding bacon and andouille sausage. You want to heat that through and stir until the sausage is cooked and the bacon is rendered, which means you're drawing the fat from the bacon. So remove that from the heat and then add 1 tablespoon of butter, and allow that to melt. Add your shrimp, and we're going to cook that about 1 to 2 minutes per side. And go ahead and add your Taste Tutor Blackening Seasoning. And that's 1 tablespoon of that Taste Tutor Blackening Seasoning. So I've got about 8 ounces of shrimp in here because it's usually just 2 people eating. But you can double the recipe. And I'll include the recipe in the description. So continue to stir the shrimp until both sides are pink, and then remove it from the heat. Go ahead and add the rest of that butter. So that's 2 more tablespoons. Let that melt. Get up all that good old seasoning in the bottom of the pan. Add all your veggies. So that's 1/2 of an onion, 1/2 of a green pepper, 2 celery ribs, 5 cloves of garlic, 1/2 teaspoon of dried thyme, and 2 bay leaves. And add it all to the pan. I'm going really slow for some reason. And then stir up all those veggies, and the goal here is to get all of that fond or flavorful goodness off the bottom of the pan. We're wanting to build flavor here. So we're stirring, and now we're going to add the Worcestershire sauce. That's 1 teaspoon of Worcestershire. Sometimes I have a hard time saying that. Then you're going to add your 2 teaspoons of Tabasco. At this point, you're going to add your flour on top, and you're going to sauger. It's my little French. Basically, you're just adding flour on top and sprinkle it over so that you can kind of form sort of like a roux, but basically you're just wanting to coat the veggies so that when you pour in your chicken broth, it will thicken the sauce. Add your chicken broth and bring that to a boil. We're still on medium-high heat at this point. So you're wanting that chicken broth to pull up any additional stuff on the bottom and soak up all the flavor of the veggies, the remaining seasoning, all that stuff. And then add back your cooked meat. At this point, the sauce is really starting to thicken up, and you're wanting to cook your meat for an additional 3 to 5 minutes so the shrimp is cooked all the way through. And we're stirring and stirring because I love to stir. So add your Taste Tutor Seasoning. That's 1 tablespoon of Taste Tutor Seasoning, and continue to stir because apparently this is necessary to stir this much. Okay. Now the sauce should be pretty much done and the shrimp should be cooked through. So go ahead and add your lemon juice, your green onion, and your parsley for garnish, and then set it aside so we can make the grits. Okay, so now it's time for the grits, y'all. So in a pot over some heat, around medium, add your milk. That's 2 cups of milk, and I guess torque that little jar a little bit so you get all the milk out. Your salt and pepper, and your grits. I'm using quick cook grits because I want to eat fast. but you can use stone ground grits. It just takes longer to cook and requires a little bit more water. So I always cook my grits with milk because I like it that way. It makes it a lot creamier. You can use water, but why? So usually quick cook grit recipes ask you to boil whatever liquid you're using first and then add the grits, but I like to add my grits in when the milk is cold just because I want the corn grit to start to hydrate as soon as possible so it can be as creamy as possible. I don't like chunks of hardness in my grits, so that's why I do that. So continue to stir and let the milk come to a boil on medium. And it's going to thicken pretty quick, so I think this was about 10 minutes that it was sitting on the stove. Once it's thick, turn off the heat and add your cheese. Ooh, cheers. Yes. And then add your butter and let that all melt and serve it up with your shrimp. And have a glorious time eating your shrimp and grits. Alright, that's it, my babies. Enjoy.